So, question is, can military families really buy a house with no money down? Short answer, yes. But honestly, that's also where a lot of confusion starts, because of people hear VA loan and they kind of immediately think, oh, so buying a house will be easy. And that's not always the truth. Hi, I'm Tanya Rivera with Property Group 850, and one of the biggest misconceptions that I hear all of the time from military families relocating to the Florida Panhandle is this. You know, if I have a loan, I can basically buy a house for free. I wish more people explain the full picture of VA loans, because they are one of the best benefits available for military families. But they still need to be used strategically, because yes, military families can buy with zero down payment, but that does not mean that there are zero responsibilities, zero cost, or zero planning involved. And honestly, understanding that difference right there can be a complete game changer and a big part of the experience of being a homeowner long term. Because yes, many military buyers can buy with a zero down payment, but that does not mean that there are zero responsibilities, zero cost, or even zero planning involved. Honestly, understanding that difference can completely change your experience as a homeowner long term. One of the first things that I always explain to military buyers is a VA loan is an incredible tool, but it's not magic. It doesn't suddenly make every house affordable. It doesn't automatically mean that you should max out your budget. And it definitely doesn't mean that you should buy based only on what you're pre-approved for, because your approval and comfort are two completely different things. And honestly, one of the biggest mistakes military families make is assuming if the lender approved it, we should be okay. But your lender doesn't live your life. They don't know. They don't know your stress tolerance, your lifestyle goals, your future plans, or how you want your day-to-day life to feel financially, or even after closing. And honestly, that matters way more than people realize, because of eventually excitement of buying fades, and what is left is your monthly reality. Your mortgage, your utilities, your maintenance, your insurance, taxes, your groceries, your actual life, that's your real cost of living. And honestly, the goal, it shouldn't be, can we buy a house? It should be, can we buy a house while still creating a life that feels manageable long term? Now, with that being said, VA loans really are one of the best opportunities that military families have, because of, compared to many conventional loans, you often have lower down payment requirements, competitive interest rates, and I'd say more flexibility overall. And for many buyers, that zero down payment option is what makes home ownership feel possible much sooner, especially during the PCS moves, where families are already balancing the travel expenses, moving cost, temporary housing, and major life, transitions all at once. But honestly, I think one thing that people underestimate is how emotional buying a house during a PCS move can feel. Because yes, it's financial, but it's also emotional. You're trying to create stability in the middle of uncertainty. You're trying to rebuild your routine somewhere new. And sometimes buyers feel pressure. They want to make the smartest decision possible immediately, but honestly, the smartest decisions usually isn't the biggest house. It's the house that supports your lifestyle, well, long term. You know, another thing that military families ask all of the time is, so if I can buy with no money down, should I? And honestly, that depends entirely on your goals, because sometimes keeping cash available during relocation makes a lot of sense, especially during military moves where unexpected expenses kind of pop up consistently. But other buyers may want to put money down to lower those monthly payments, reduce stress, or, create more financial flexibility long term. And honestly, neither approach is automatically right or wrong. The important thing is understanding why behind your decision making, not just doing something because someone online, told you to. Another huge misconception around a VA loan is that military buyers don't need savings. And honestly, this is a dangerous mindset because even with zero down payment, you still need to prepare for moving expenses, inspections, costs, the earnest money. How about repairs or utility setup, home maintenance, and just life happening after closing? Because once you own a home, things eventually break. That's normally and honestly one of the best things that military buyers can do is leave themselves breathing room financially after that purchase, because of financial stress affects your quality of life more than people realize. Another thing I wish that buyers understood is this: just because you can buy right now doesn't automatically mean that you should. And honestly, that's okay, because sometimes renting for another year makes more sense. Sometimes waiting creates clarity. Sometimes buyers need more stability before making a major purchase. And honestly, a good realtor should be willing to tell you that, because of the goal, it shouldn't be forcing people into homeownership. The goal should be helping military families make decisions that actually support their long-term lifestyle. Another thing that buyers ask a lot is, will I regret buying? And honestly, usually the buyers who regret buying aren't the ones who bought with a VA loan. They're the ones who bought without understanding how they actually wanted their life to feel afterwards. Because eventually the house becomes normal and your routine, your commute, your stress levels, your monthly comfort, and your environment, that's what determines whether home ownership feels good long term. And honestly, that's why so many military families end up loving places like Crestview. Because compared to many surrounding Florida markets, buyers can often still find more space, more flexibility, and more manageable monthly lifestyles. And after enough military moves, a lot of families stop chasing what looks flashy and start prioritizing what feels sustainable. That's a huge mindset shift. Another important thing that buyers should know is this: using a VA loan does not make you a weak buyer. And honestly, this myth still exists way too often online. Strong agents know how to structure competitive VA offers. Strong lenders know how to prepare buyers correctly. And strong communication. That matters way more than people realize during the negotiation times. Because at the end of the day, sellers care about confidence and clarity too. And honestly, I think one of the biggest reasons military families succeed with home ownership long term is when they stop viewing buying as winning the biggest house possible and start viewing it as building stability, because the stability changes everything. It changes your stress. It changes your routines, your future planning, and how settled your family feels over time. At the end of the day, yes, military families really can buy homes with no money down. But the bigger question is, how do you do it well? How do you buy in a way that supports your lifestyle instead of stretching it way too thin? How do you create the stability instead of stress? And how do you make a decision that still feels good after the excitement wears off? Because honestly, that's the part that to me matters the most. So if you're PCSing to Crestview, Florida, or anywhere in the Florida Panhandle, and you're trying to figure out whether buying with a VA loan actually makes sense for your situation, reach out anytime. I'd love to help walk you through your budget expectations, neighborhoods, communities, monthly lifestyle considerations, and what actually makes the most sense for your long-term goals. Because if this isn't just about buying a house, it's about creating a life that feels financially and emotionally sustainable after the move. And if you want more videos about VA loans, PCS relocation, Crestview Florida real estate, and military life in the Florida Panhandle, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.